are supporting Governor Mitt Romney and Congressman Paul Ryan in the fall. Tonight's first presidential debate was a success. Governor Romney came across as articulate, intelligent, whereas President Obama had a few minor stumbles, and really was not aggressive in countering some of the harsher criticisms that Mitt Romney thrust upon the president. Governor Romney also was gave some of the outline of what his proposals would be. We kind of got an idea of who Mitt Romney is as a leader, where it seems that the president kind of struggled to compete with Governor Romney in the debate. Now, a couple key points that I think are worth noting about Governor Romney. First of all, Mitt Romney cleared up this myth that the Democrats and the president have started on taxes. The Mitt Romney tax plan cuts taxes on middle-class Americans, has a much less of a tax cut for the wealthy. It also closes deductions and makes the code flatter. And when Governor Romney said that was not tried before, I think on the scale that what he is talking about, I don't think it's been tried. It's been tried minorly. President Reagan tried to close some deductions, but for the most part, we really haven't simplified the tax code. We've made it more complicated, and Governor Romney wants to roll back some of its complications, but lower rates. The rates lowered especially would help middle income and lower income Americans. So, in this continuous lie that the president has about Mitt Romney's $5 trillion tax cut, it's a lie. One study, you could talk about these studies, but the question is whether they're reputable studies or not. That's the question, or what the objective of the study is. Perhaps it was a liberal organization maybe not a liberal organization, but one that is not supportive of Governor Romney or the kind of economic policies Governor Romney's talking about. But I think that tonight what we really heard from Mitt Romney is he wants to cut taxes on the middle class and on businesses in this country, but wants to continue to kind of have the tax code, although he wants to simplify it. He also wants to make sure that the progressiveness of the tax code, having the wealthy pay a higher rate than the middle class and working people, that continues. And I think that the majority of the American public, having middle class tax cuts and a much smaller tax cut on the rich, and having businesses see less taxes, I think that's an appealing agenda. And Mitt Romney's right. President Obama, and he said this, and it was one of the points I think that Mitt Romney won the debate with. President Obama can continue to lie to the American people. That's what this president seems to do best in this campaign. He seems to this is the most dishonest president in modern history, and he's in competition with Bill Clinton there. He can continue this lie. That doesn't make it fact. I also think that Mitt Romney won on the issue of Medicare, and he wanted it to be clear. First of all, he made it clear, perhaps too clear, but he made it clear that he would not change benefits on current retirees, and that the president's plan does. The president's plan cuts Medicare $716 billion, most of which goes to doctors. And I think the broader argument that Governor Romney made on health care, in addition to Medicare, was really one that he also won on. And that is that under his administration, some of the basic fundamentals, changes that we need in health care, like allowing people to buy health care across state lines, making sure that people with pre-existing conditions are not denied coverage, that would all be part of Governor Romney's health care plan. But the majority of the plan, aside from a few basic areas, would really belong to the states. And I think in most instances that's probably best. I would like to hear Governor Romney embrace a tax deduction at the federal level so people can go out and buy health care. But I think that the notion of sending Medicaid back to the states and allowing for people to buy health care across state lines are good for both the poor and for middle-income folks and businesses. More competition in health care brings down cost. The government getting involved in health care raises cost. We've seen the government get involved in health care, especially under Obama, but even before Obama. And the cost of health care went up even before the president. And if Mitt Romney could scale back government's involvement in health care, it would lower the cost. Again, on so many different levels, this president is lying. And the reason is, now the president, most of the polls have shown the president ahead slightly. It's a very close election, and the president wants to ensure re-election. And in order to do that, he believes in the old Washington-style politics of scaring people into the voting booth. And one of the ways that he's going to scare people into the voting booth, or wants to, is to tell them that Mitt Romney's going to increase spending. Through a tax cut, which the president says go to the wealthy, yet the majority goes to the middle class. Another part of it is telling President Obama telling people that Governor Romney's health care plan would deny people coverage of pre-existing conditions. That is false. Romney said from day one that he supports that. The president did not tell the truth tonight. And I think that people in his own party would be disappointed more in his style, how he wasn't aggressive. The fact of the matter is that this president might be a liar, but he has a conscience. And therefore, he cannot look Governor Romney in the face, or the public in the face, and be aggressive based on lies. It is a very sad state of affairs when the President of the United States is an outright liar. And this president is indeed a liar. But I think what you saw tonight is a president who, frankly, cannot defend his own policies. It's very difficult for this president's misleading numbers on the economy were about the only time when he told the truth to the American people. Or, excuse me, he didn't tell the truth to the American people, he lied to the American people. It was the only time the president tried to defend his record. They were all lies. And I think, frankly, the president's conscience might have caught up with him before the debate. I don't think that, when he's on stage in front of a crowd, we all know Obama does great in front of audiences. It's easier to lie when you're just talking to a group of people. When you lie to somebody else than just to go up to them and lie to their face. I think that what we should take away from this debate is that Mitt Romney came across as a competent leader. President Obama came across as a liar. The winner of this debate has to be Governor Romney. And frankly, even from an objective standpoint, how come, I heard Chris Matthews and Ed Schultz, the liberals on MSNBC, criticizing the president's debate performance. It isn't always that way. 4 years ago, I would argue John McCain won probably 2 of the 3 debates. I really can't say whether, I think that it's very close in terms of who actually won the first debate. I think for sure John McCain, this president, the truth is he's not a great debater. He lost to John McCain in the debates 4 years ago, at least 2 out of 3 times. He lost to Hillary Clinton during the 2008 primary. The only time he ever won a debate was against Alan Keyes, which is easy competition because Alan Keyes is insane. But the point is, I recognize that the president's not a great debater. There's one last point I wanted to make, and I almost forgot to make it. And that is that when the president talked about closing the quote-unquote $4 billion in oil subsidies, when he talked about stopping the tax credits that ship jobs overseas, it goes back to a pattern the president has. And that is that when he ran for president in 2008, he promised the American people that we would have an era of bipartisanship. He broke that promise. He said we'd have universal health coverage. Obviously, that's one promise, unfortunately, he did keep, was getting more people, was to get more people health insurance through the government. We all support more people having health insurance. It depends if you want a private sector model or government model. The president wants a government model. He promised the American people he'd cut the deficit in half, increased it. Promised the American people more jobs, we have fewer. There seems to be some inconsistencies between what the president really, if you took Mitt Romney and John McCain out of the video and just watched the video of President Obama 4 years ago and tonight, you're probably going to see this. Basically, it could be the same debate if you just ignored John McCain and Mitt Romney. It could be the same exact debate. And it's the same failures that we have today that those of us who didn't support the president 4 years ago predicted. So I leave you with this. The question that I challenge all of you to ask yourselves: do you want a president who will work his or her hardest to make things better, or do you want a president who will lie to you? If you answered the first, then Mitt Romney's your candidate. The second is the president. Basically, summarizing it all up, Mitt Romney came away as competent, the president as a dishonest liar.